Welcome to 3 on the Ones and Twos with your hosts, Tom, Cassie, and James. Just 3 old friends talking about their favorite records. Think of it as the coolest book club for music nerds.
How you guys doing?
Doing okay. Happy Sunday.
Yes, a happy Sunday. I love Sundays and I love Sunday mornings and I love hanging out with you guys talking about music. So welcome to 3 on the One. PBR, the 3 on the Ones and Twos. PBR. And I suggest don't do this at home because it is a Sunday morning, but thank you, Jameson,
do
as well.
Do it somewhere else. Do it at trackside.
Do it at the trackside tavern. Thank you, Mikey and Brian. And again, Louis Sandoval at PBR. Jameson, I'm going to have a little sip of this thing.
It's a little
Cheers,
mini.
just
okay,
a little
just
mini.
Start.
Oh,
we will continue.
How you guys doing?
Doing well.
Cassie, you look beautiful. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Okay.
I just love how each of these episodes have evolved and what we talk about, and basically all the records that we brought to the table. Our brother right here brought a really good, really great record today that I'm so excited to talk about.
Yeah, exactly. And I tried to choose something a little bit different, but still kind of a seminal, important record. But it is Miles Davis, In a Silent Way, 1969.
CBS Records. Yes.
CBS Records, July 1969. And this is a very important record to me. I always figured this is kind of our first jazz record to talk about on the show.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was like, let's figure out what kind of, I want to cover a jazz record. And I thought In a Silent Way is a great, because it's more than a jazz record in a way. It's kind of like, a lot of people can listen to this and get different things out of it.
Well, it's kind of groundbreaking at the time, right? I mean, it actually was the beginning of jazz fusion, jazz rock, right?
Sure.
Yeah, it was called the beginning of his electric phase, or his, first time he didn't use any acoustic upright pianos. It was all electric pianos.
He had a whole bunch of keyboardists. There were 3 or 4 different well-known keyboardists on this. One thing that I thought was interesting, which I didn't get at first, when we were talking about the albums that we picked, you had said that you knew you wanted to do this when we were recording the Eno episode. And I was like, because I'm not very familiar with jazz.
Sure.
So I didn't really understand why. I was like, what? And then after listening to it and setting up on it, this influenced ambient music.
Yes,
it was like the blueprint for ambient music, which, so.
It has a lot of elements of that. And also when we talk about talk, Spirit of Eden. This is the template in a way. He's like, and I'm, I might be speaking out of turn here, but at least Miles Davis popularized the approach that was used on so many other records, like the Talk record, which we've talked about.
Well, the Talk record, I mean, and Mark Hollis will, he will actually admit that he was very influenced by, Miles Davis.
Because there was a lot of editing.
There was.
On this record.
There was, which is amazing. I guess that's all credited to Teo Macero.
Yeah.
That he picked. I love the way it's really just, it's 4 songs.
Yes.
But the first song starts, then it goes into the second song, then it goes back to the first song on side 1, and then the same on the second
I love when jazz records do that. Coltrane has flirted with that in the past.
Has he? Because I'm not very familiar with jazz, so that was
with A Love Supreme, for example.
And there's been a few rock bands that I love, like Wilco, that have flirted with that as well, But I would say Miles Davis mastered it, especially on this record.
Well, I think that was all Teo Macero. That was his decision, right? I think.
Well, I do know that
I believe.
Miles Davis he's the master of just bringing people together and making a record, and he's very selective in the people he chose to make the record. And I feel like this album, it sort of started that trend with him where he would he had just unlimited resources. He had a studio for as long as he wanted. He could play with anyone he wanted, and he brought them in and recorded the equivalent of it ended up when they released the complete In a Silent Way sessions. It's 3 CDs, full length CDs. So it's 80.
There's a few extra songs that they did.
Sure, but 200 plus minutes of music to get it, and then Teo had to edit it down to a single album, and he did that for the albums after that, so this was
Yeah.
the beginning of that period of
I
him.
mean, just to be a fly on the wall during those sessions. I
Yeah.
don't know if you've looked at the images, the black and white photos from that time. And I mean, there was no one cooler on the earth. Like them just hanging out in
We
the
watched
studio. I mean, it's
we watched
unbelievable.
a new documentary about him
Yeah.
on Netflix that just
It's very
recently
good,
came out, and so we watched that last night, and
Yeah.
it was just like he really was like
The epitome
he
of
was
cool.
the what was it what was the one name of the album?
Birth of the Cool.
The Birth of the Cool.
Wait,
Like he really was like
he was the epitome of cool. He was the birth of cool.
I
Yeah,
mean,
everything
really.
he did.
It doesn't sound like he was like the nicest human,
Yeah.
but
Well, he
which
wasn't
is
happy.
weird.
Hey, listen, he
Yeah.
got beat up for smoking
Well,
a cigarette outside a club. I mean,
He
like,
did.
I mean, it's
he did,
the
which
things
is
that happened to him were
so.
horrible.
I mean, which was
he
so
had a right
insane.
to be angry.
Well, no, for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, because it was interesting. In learning about him, he came from a very affluent family,
Mm-hmm.
and so it was. And one thing that they said was, but it didn't matter because
Right.
at those times, like you were
Sure,
still,
yeah.
because of it didn't matter how wealthy you were because of the color of his skin. He was just treated
He's
very,
still
very poorly.
East St. Louis.
I read
Yeah.
his biography when I was a kid, like
Yeah.
in my early 20s.
The autobiography, yeah, I've read that too.
And it's
It's a great
wonderful, the
book, yeah.
timing in it and stuff.
Yeah.
But for some reason, one thing I remember is he always used to say, he used the term broke dick dog.
Right.
He'd be like, man, that's a broke dick dog.
That's-
and his
that's
voice
total,
is so beautiful, man.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
Is it
got this
husky?
rough, I mean, he makes me sound like a high-pitched person.
And that was
you know?
because he had gotten like I don't know if he had some some
Like nodules
growth
or
or something
something?
removed,
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
said don't talk
Yeah.
for like a certain amount of time. And I don't know if he got worked up or something, but he ended up talking, and because of that,
Thrashed
it ruined his voice for like making that husky,
But his music, when you come back to it, I think it has a lot of attitude.
It does, yeah.
does.
His album is all of his music is so much attitude, and sometimes sometimes it's a little much for me. Like I don't listen to Miles Davis as much. I listen to this album more than any.
This
for
is
sure.
what I was going to say. When you mentioned you wanted to bring this, you do this record,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we were on a group text. I literally like smiled and was just like, I'm so excited because you know what's beautiful about music is that it's magic and it can put you in a place.
Right.
You remember like which shirt you wear. And summer 1996, the summer of the Olympics, I was living in Atlanta on Howell Mill Road, 14th Street and Howell Mill Road, the U-Haul lofts. And
I remember that
Russ
place.
Jackson and I, every Sunday morning, this was a Sunday morning record, drinking
Yeah.
coffee, two friends, two roommates, talking, and it just goes right into a silent way, and it's so smooth. It's like the wind, and it's like a dream. I mean, it really is
Yeah.
the perfect Sunday morning record.
It is.
You know, and I mean, it's just everything about it.
Well, speaking of, you were saying about having being able to work with all the musicians you want. Like one thing that I think was amazing about him was that, and I don't know that it was done a lot. I think he might have been one of the first to do this. Was he was continuously bringing in like young new
Right.
talent.
Yes.
And B, like just tons.
Just mentoring them.
and mentoring them,
yeah.
and a lot of those people went on to become like some of the jazz greats.
Yeah, exactly.
And also, he wouldn't
All-star team.
he
always.
wouldn't write out like the actual scores that
Yeah.
he wanted. He would give them a lot of times like images
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
let them play whatever they wanted.
And you
some
can
people,
hear that on this
Sketches,
album.
yeah.
And some people had at first they had a problem with the freedom because it's
Sure.
kind of for a lot of musicians that are used to being
It's
told
also
what to play.
intimidating.
Might be
It
a
kind
With
of
someone that
intimidating.
cool
Yeah.
and that
Yeah,
Oh,
crazy.
especially if you're a jazz
Yeah.
musician coming in, you're a very skilled, highly trained musician. You can read anything, you can sight read anything. You're
Right.
used to charts, you're used to this. You go into a Miles Davis session, he's going to give you the minimum information.
And you just play
Right.
from your
And
heart.
and I
really.
think like Kinda Blue was an album where he really
I think
he
that's
did
the
that.
best selling. I think that has become the best selling jazz record in the world. I believe.
I'm sure you're right because it's such a pivotal album. But also, it was an album where he just said, "Here, I'm not giving you charts. I'm going to give you like this line, and then that's it, and then we go from there." And so he definitely sets
Yeah.
a mood with his albums. His albums, especially when you talk about albums as paintings.
Yeah, it's
like I
definitely,
think of
yeah.
this as a painting. As close to a
I think
painting as an album can
when
get.
you hear Miles Davis' name, you'll always hear that, and they even mentioned on the back of this album that he was a painter, but he was also a boxer, and like a lot of his stuff is like jabs. It's such a wonderful, they're like throat punches, some of
Yeah.
it, you know, and. Well, like I said, one of my favorite Sunday morning records. I'm so glad you brought it up because, fortunately, there's so much still great music to discover, and I'm learning every day and discovering still new music. But sometimes we forget to
through
go
the
back.
show.
Sometimes we forget to go back to these
Yeah.
old.
You ever listen to this? When was the last time you listened to this album?
10 years ago.
At least
and
10
that's
years ago,
terrible.
yeah.
Shame on me.
I
you know
have
what I'm saying?
never,
Like,
to my knowledge, unless it was playing, at somebody's house or in the background. To
Yeah.
my
you
knowledge,
probably heard it with me at my house.
maybe.
You know?
I mean, but long time ago.
Yeah, a long time
but
ago.
like, but this is the first time that. So you're saying like it's great because it helps you
Revisit,
This show
revisit,
helps
yeah.
you revisit stuff,
Yes,
but.
yeah.
It also like it's great for me because it's like it helps me revisit some things like we did the Super Chunk episode,
Right.
and like I love that because I hadn't listened to that album in quite a long time, but it but then it also introduces me to like jazz has never been my thing, and I think it depends on like when I was in my teenage years, and really starting to get more into music and branching out. Like at the time, I think where I was, I kind of saw it as it always seemed like the real like pseudo-intellectual kind of like the people that hung out
It's
at
like
like
a
Pop and
stereotype
of the
in
jazz.
real life.
So I
could
don't think I
see
gave it the chance that I really should have.
I could see that totally, but like I feel so lucky because I grew up in New York and I
And
saw
you had
guys
a
like
lot of
Basquiat who influenced me, and he was listening to hip hop, and certainly in his paintings he was doing Miles Davis. So like I was like, who's this cat?
Right.
Like I was talking like a jazz guy. I was like, who's this cat? I want to check out this cat. So at 20 years
Yeah.
old, I was listening to. I think of Bitches Brew or Brother
Right.
Cool, but then I discovered this in 1996 when I'm 26,
Right.
and I think I know my shit, but I don't really know, But I'm like mind blown.
And it's so
Mind
different
blown,
from like
yeah.
regular because it's the beginning of his electric period, right?
Yeah.
Where he like really brought in the electric guitars.
Yeah.
And some of the like upright bass players that were used to play is like, no, I want you to play electric bass.
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah,
like,
and they're like, whoa, wait a minute.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, it was.
I'm going to play the
it-
Fender
it-
Rhodes
it was,
instead of an acoustic piano. I'm sure.
Right.
I mean, Herbie Hancock probably was just like,
Wow.
okay,
Well,
let me
they
try
have-
it. But he was right. He's a visionary.
So the
ahead of his time.
the song "In a Silent Way,"
Yeah.
the actual song, like which it's sandwiched.
It's about time.
Well,
yeah.
it sandwiches "It's About Time," which, by the way, "It's About Time," the bass line on there, which I'll talk about the bass line. To me, that makes me. I've been singing songs to my cats to that bass line
Right.
since I've been listening to that bass line.
Yeah.
I've been like dancing around. Greg's been laughing about it. He's like,
Prince
that-
wrote songs
that-
around that
like
bass
that
line.
boom,
Like, you know what I mean?
boom,
Like
boom, boom.
so
It's
many
amazing.
funk artists
It's so,
took that and
I
were like, man, I'm
I
gonna do something with this.
I
Yeah.
cannot resist that bass line. It's so. It makes you happy. It makes
Yeah.
you wanna
And
dance.
what's funny is that they'll only go into it for a little bit, and
Yeah.
then they'll go
And they
back
kind
into
of
like
flirt-
into
they flirt with it.
it's like
Well,
they like
it's
these
they
beautiful
tease
teeth,
you
beautiful
with
But
these.
here's
Yeah.
an interesting thing. So, "In a Silent Way"
Yeah.
was actually written originally by I don't know if I pronounce it right, but the Joseph Zawinul.
Yeah, Zawinul.
Who's an Austrian jazz keyboardist.
Yes.
So he wrote that,
Zawinul did, yeah.
and Miles
Which
Davis.
his albums, that first Zawinul album,
I
is
never-
also.
I'll check it out.
He redid.
Thank
He
you, see?
re-put out "In a Silent Way" solo in 1970.
Yeah.
And we actually listened to that version last night to kind of because there were a couple things that Miles Davis really wanted to use that, which of course any artist any artist is going to be like, Miles
Yeah.
Davis wants to use my song. Yeah, here you go. But I guess he made it a point to change like certain parts of it
Yeah.
to make it more kind of more rock.
Yeah.
And so Winnell wasn't really
as traditional jazz.
He wasn't. He thought that specifically like two chords, and I couldn't notice them. I mean, I noticed differences,
wasn't
but I didn't
feeling
know
it.
that-
He wasn't
but,
feeling
in like. He wanted to change a couple of the chords, and Zawinul thinks that it took away some of the punch, some of the
Sure.
emotion. But Miles Davis was like, I really don't think the album would have been as successful. But listening to it, Greg could hear the couple chords that he was talking about.
Right,
I
the
couldn't.
changes he made.
I just
Yeah.
noticed more the ethereal kind of space sounds in the back, which is but an interesting thing also
Yes,
that I
for
learned
sure.
was that and he blamed so Zawinul says that he actually was the one who came up with the bass line in "It's About That
It's About That
Time,"
Time.
Yeah.
and that he wasn't that Teo Macero, when he put the credits on there, he was
Yeah.
credited
That was
for "In a
also
Silent
very
Way.
fashionable back then for jazz
To-
artists
to
to
be
not
like-
pay and take care
to-
and give
to
people
like-
credit for this
Right.
But I mean, so he obviously got
just
credit for "In a
hired to
Silent
bring
Way"
play, yeah.
because he but he didn't get credit for that bass line. And to me, that bass line
It's amazing.
makes. I mean,
It's
yeah.
amazing.
Well,
It's
Yeah.
if you
so
know-
it just it creates a smile.
I mean, it does.
Like,
Yeah.
you're like, it's about time I smile. I've had the worst day. What? You know.
But you know what he's doing there is that this album and his whole shift in direction was very much based on Sly Stone.
Yes.
He was
for sure.
listening to-
Without
he
a
was
doubt.
like, I want some more Sly Stone in my music, and coming where he came from in the 60s, it's like, it seems like such a jump
Yeah.
to go
Right.
from like Miles Davis, like the king of like jazz in that time, to all of a sudden go into this kind of rock side of things
Right.
and be like Sly Stone. Sly Stone was playing at Woodstock
Right.
at the same time this was recorded.
Sly Stone was king of America.
And
like,
and
you know, back then,
and that
yeah.
bass line, I'm sure that is a Sly Stone. That's such
is.
a
It's
like
so
it's
funky,
such a
yeah.
like
But-
groove to it and stuff.
Well,
that,
he
like,
was. I mean, he was. I mean,
he's
people have
bringing that
said-
in. He's
but-
bridging the gap.
He did. A lot of people. Well, first I'll say, a lot of people like went to his house and they were shocked.
Yeah.
Like at the time, I don't remember who he was married to that really got him, or dating that got him really interested in.
I know
like,
Betty Davis was a big influence as well. I don't.
the actress.
Well, no. There's a musician that was like his wife
Oh.
that changed his
Yeah,
style
I
of
think that was
dress.
in-
Everything,
And
yeah.
I
she
think
did
that
all
was
the. Yeah,
Was
she did her own albums that are amazing as well.
Last wife he had was a dancer.
Yeah.
Very, very well-known dancer.
If you
Was-
see
I
the
don't-
movie,
maybe it wasn't his last, but
And this also brought this back in, but there's the movie that came out a few years ago that stars Don Cheadle.
Oh, I haven't
Oh.
seen it, but I love
Is
him.
it about
and I
Miles
heard
It's the
I heard
Miles
made
Davis, yeah.
story,
It's amazing. It really makes you appreciate
I
this
should watch
era
that.
of his
Well,
life,
I love it.
a
or
lot
at least
of, like,
into his sort of dark period,
Yeah,
sort of
for
post
sure.
electric.
a lot of interviewers were shocked when they went
Miles
to his
ahead.
when
Miles,
they
yeah.
went to his house to see that he was listening to the
Hendrix,
Sly,
probably.
and Hendrix,
Yeah.
Hendrix and all that was very, so that definitely influenced him. But then a lot of people were critical at him going that direction, which was
Of course.
brilliant that he did, because it made the music more accessible
Yeah.
to
Right.
maybe people that had considered jazz just a certain. But a lot of people were critical that he kind of like sold out. He was going like in a
Yeah.
direction that wasn't. but it was so influential on all music
people
that
fear
went after that.
change.
People
you know?
didn't understand
People
it.
didn't understand it. But I mean,
It's a big jump. I mean, as much as Dylan going
Exactly,
electric as
exactly.
Miles going electric
Yeah.
is a similar. I mean,
mean,
there's a lot of parallels there.
I think they mentioned in that book that one of his regrets was that he was trying to do work with Prince. You know, like right before
Yeah.
he passed. You know,
And
you
he
can
was
see
about-
that. Like he totally would have wanted to do a record with Prince.
And it would have been amazing.
Of course, yeah.
Well,
you be talking about those bass lines.
Yeah,
like,
like-
right now.
yeah.
You know.
The session that he was going to have a session right before he died was with Hendrix. That Hendrix passed
Yes,
away.
that
Hendrix
is
passed
true.
away, yeah.
Yeah.
That
Wow.
The album between Miles Davis and Jimi Hendrix in when did he die? 71? I can't remember. Anyway,
Oh, Jimi
when
Hendrix.
Hendrix died, he was they were scheduled to have, and it might have even been the next session
Right.
before his death or after his death that would have been a collaboration between Hendrix
Right.
and Miles Davis.
Yeah.
In that era, like
Which
on
would
the
have been
corner
amazing,
era,
too.
it would have been
so
a
amazing.
crazy album. It would have been amazing.
Yeah, they would have been like, let's F some people up. Like, seriously, let's just mess with people's minds
mean,
right
just
now.
think
you know?
like-
And Miles Davis was fearless with that.
Oh,
If he wouldn't have done that, I mean, you just think of all the like rock bands or like all the artists that we listen to that are not considered jazz
And
that wouldn't have
That's
been.
what we were talking
Yeah.
about. Like,
Yeah.
even the talk and stuff.
Like,
There's like
it's
so many
just
bands,
so-
I hate the term alternative, but like bands that were like even postmodern, new
Post-punk,
wave bands,
yeah.
new wave bands
Yeah.
that I love that you're like,
Post-rock
man, I
bands
hear
and stuff.
these space elements. Because I mean, like I said, you look up, the information on this record, and they were trying to go as far out there as they
Yeah.
could.
Yeah.
I mean,
And when I hear like the Chicago bands,
Oh, yeah,
like
big time.
the Tortoise,
Yeah, yeah.
ISO 217, all the like, all of these post-rock bands that came out, I really hear a lot of the electric Miles Davis, and that's actually
Yeah.
how I got really exposed to it, was because there was a CD compilation called Panthalassa
yeah.
that came out in the 90s, and this is very much a late night record for me.
Right.
Like you
Okay.
say, it's
just
a,
early
it's a
morning, first cup of
I
coffee,
hear-
reading the newspaper.
I can
talking.
see like
I
late
feel-
night wine.
Brian.
I can see that.
I feel darkness when I hear
There
this.
is a lot of-
It seems interesting to me to listen to this in the daylight. It is more of a like
Wow.
Seems
Okay.
kind of strange. Like it's very much a 4 a.m. like.
Wow. Okay. So.
You know.
But the
it's a
cool thing is this.
crazy
So I'm
album for
saying
me,
this
yeah.
is amazing, and this is what's amazing about the show. Thank you,
Brian.
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 So
I'm good.
This
I'm
is
good.
what's
Thank you.
amazing about the show and this. So so 3 different people.
Yep.
3 old friends who I think you guys have impeccable taste in music. He's
too.
getting turned on. Thanks a lot. James gets turned on to it by like bands like Tortoise.
Sure.
I'm telling you, I got turned on to Miles Davis as a teenager because of Basquiat.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're just saying,
York.
I'm just getting turned on to it.
Yeah.
Like, and that's
I mean,
amazing.
it's
Like,
like,
that's the
I
best.
full
think
spectrum.
Yeah, I mean,
Which is really, that was really my draw of doing this show. I was like,
It's the
but-
best.
Yeah, it's interesting that you've talked so much about post rock and then talked about Talk Talk, because Talk Talk is like very credited with kind of like pioneering the post rock, but they were so like
And they
so
brought-
influenced by Miles
I mean,
Davis.
listen to an
Yeah,
album
totally.
like, oh man. Like,
I did that. I do that all the
It's
time.
Sunday morning.
Listen to an album like Kid A, which I love that
Oh, yeah,
album.
yeah, yeah.
There's so many elements of this record on Kid A.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, just like where they just go out there, you know. And I remember when I got that record, and I'm always fearful when critics love something too much. And
Sure.
Radiohead were like the darlings for critics
Yeah,
a long time. And I'm a huge fan, you know. And but everyone loved it too much. I was like, man, I'll listen to it in 2 years, and if it's good, it's
Yeah.
good. It'll hold
Right.
up.
If it
sticks,
But then
it
I listen
sticks.
to it, I'm like, God damn it,
I
this is
missed-
that man.
I
It's like
missed
such a
2
good,
years,
it's
yeah.
such a good record,
Oh, yeah,
you know.
totally.
And I'm like, I remember with a friend of mine, I was like, man, these guys are listening in a silent way. Yeah, it's amazing.
And Radiohead, I mean, a band like that, they had similar to Miles Davis. They're at like the top. They're like after OK Computer.
Yeah, and they're like, let's
they're
get it.
like the pinnacle of their career. They had unlimited resources.
Without a doubt.
Nobody's going to say no to them, and they make a record like something like this because
exactly, yeah.
this is kind of what comes out of. You want to do something that's so.
Never be safe.
Yeah.
Kids, and also listen to that. Never be safe. Don't drink Jameson in the morning. Thank you guys. And never be safe.
It's after 12 o'clock technically.
doing-
Is it technically?
Yeah,
okay.
so
We're actually doing
it's
great.
after-
Well, there's
What else you
something-
want to say about this
Well,
record?
there's something on my notes, and it's like, oh, I have my glasses right here. Woo! That I had taken where it was like talking about how Teo Macero, am I pronouncing that right?
Teo.
Macero.
Teo
yeah.
Macero, I think that's right.
He incorporated, I guess it's like a sonata, like the classical sonata, like by doing it with the beginning and then the middle, but then repeating the
And
beginning
then doing, like, a
again.
refrain
Like, yeah,
of
because
it?
it
Yeah.
actually, I guess it's exposition, development, and recapitula. What the hell is that word?
I don't know.
I love it. No edits.
No edits.
No
We're
edits.
doing this. But it's
Recapitulation. Recapitulation.
well, yeah, I know. What
I'm about
word
to say
is that?
isation. Recapitulation.
But like, so I think
yeah.
that. I
These
mean,
are all like classical.
Well,
this is
this-
all
this-
highbrow stuff.
this
here.
It is. I mean,
Yeah.
but it's interesting because that wasn't typically used in jazz, and so I think Teo Macero is, as much as you probably should have
As much
credited
as
whatever,
Davis, as much
but
as
like,
Joe Zawinul, as
but
much as.
he
It's
really
a record
his
that
choices
it's a record
really-
that the producer is just as important as every
Oh,
player.
yeah.
for sure, for
Unbelievable.
sure.
He had the
Yeah.
hardest job. And when you listen to the box sets that came out of all, like this album has a 3 CD box set.
I've listened to it. It's unbelievable.
Bitches Brew, the
Outtakes
complete
and stuff.
Bitches Brew sessions is 4 CDs.
Which I think Taylor Macero.
Oh, I think he's through the whole thing.
Yeah, he's
just
kind
they,
of
they were
been-
just partnered with all of these. And then you got
If it
Jack
works-
Johnson.
If it works, don't
Jack
fix it.
Johnson's like 4 CDs, and then On the Corner, I think it's 5 CDs.
Yeah.
And On the Corner, it's I feel like there is nowhere to go from there. I mean, I feel like that's sort of where I kind of get off.
Yeah, because I
where
stopped
kinda
listening
stop,
because some of
it's
that electric
so
stuff later was
insane.
a little too bad funky, and
Well,
the
it
recordings,
gets
you know.
it just gets insane, and I love it, but it's too heavy for me. This is the album I can listen to. I listen to the most, and I can listen to more casually, where I'm not going to be
But the funny thing is,
challenged as much as something like
I'm
that.
saying that I love this record on a Sunday morning at 11 a.m.
Yeah.
my first cup of coffee.
I love it at
and
4
you like it at
a.m.
4 a.m.
I
That's amazing.
That's been my experience with it.
I'm
Or
gonna say-
riding the bike. Riding in the darkness. If you,
Oh, that's nice,
when,
yeah.
when I was in Amsterdam, because I used to live there, I would ride back from Amsterdam in the dark in the countryside and listen to this on headphones.
Poetry.
Just riding at midnight, 1 and 2 in the morning, and it's a great, I mean,
Well, that I can
awesome
see. Just looking
nighttime
at the
bike
sky
ride.
would be amazing to
Yeah,
this record.
it's
Yeah.
a beautiful record for
Well,
night.
also speaking of like I know that for the songs that they actually picked for this album.
Yeah.
I think it was like maybe it was just In a Silent Way. It's About Time. I read that at the end they only had like 27 minutes that they wanted to use or that they liked of it.
Sure.
So Teo Macero looped
Did some extra stuff going
and actually
And-
stretched
and
it to the
if you-
38.
and
Yeah.
like 7 or 8 more minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's very much a producer. In 1969, what other
Yeah.
album
It's
has
so
been?
ahead of its time, it's
It
crazy.
is almost like a DJ record, like where the producer
It is.
creates the album.
Well, and it's also, I mean, it's like, I think it's just a great example of how every single component that contributed on this was just, we're so, like, everybody was so talented and actually contributed.
Yeah, I mean,
something that,
much,
you know what I'm
much
saying?
love
Like,
and
it's just
respect
very-
Herbie Hancock.
I mean, Herbie Hancock.
They had to come along
I
for the
mean-
ride.
I mean,
They were,
unbelievable.
Like,
yeah.
Herbie
legend.
Hancock, Dave Holland on bass.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, it's really.
Chick Corea,
Chick Corea. I mean, look, yeah, Chick
Tony
Corea.
Williams on drums. I mean, one of the best drummers
So
ever.
on like
in history.
electric piano, they have Herbie Hancock, Chick Corea, and Joseph
Zawinul.
Zawinul. I mean,
Zawinul.
that's like three. That's
Legend.
like but that's like no, but not just that they're all great, but that to have three.
Oh, that meant it.
But there's
you know.
there's like a live album he did called Live Evil as well around
Yes.
this time, a little later,
Mm-hmm.
like at 71 or so, I think. But in that one, he has 3 electric guitarists, all just like thrashing, and it's like a punk record.
Yeah.
It's like so
It's
high energy,
abrasive, yeah.
abrasive. I mean, it's like, it's just it's like a Black Flag record almost.
interesting
It's
how
crazy.
he-
Man, there's so many records I'm going to revisit.
Well,
this
it's
afternoon.
interesting how his musical style. I mean, like his trumpet style. Like he made his own trumpet style. And
Yeah.
he made it personal. Like, people who know more about jazz than me can hear like a trumpet and know whether or not it's Miles Davis.
Oh,
like,
he's
just
got
from
a
his
sound,
sound.
without doubt.
But also the way that he reinvented his sound continuously.
Oh, yeah.
Like through it to make it
Always.
like fresh and also like
Always changing.
reaching a bigger audience. I think
Yeah.
that's just. I mean, it's really, really brilliant.
Yeah, it's a visionary
Yeah,
kind of
very
guy.
visionary.
Man, we should talk about letters because I think we're closing.
Yeah, we're.
Are we gonna do
Thank
the
you,
shot?
thank
Got
you,
a letter.
Miles Davis.
Let's do
In
it.
the
Let's do a
silent
shot for
way.
Miles.
Thank you, Jameson.
Shot to Miles.
Thank you.
Trackside Tavern. Man, love you guys.
All right.
I think we got a letter. Did we got a letter?
There was a
coming?
lot left in that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have a letter.
Yeah, and I love how it's been so much serendipity going on with our letters that come in somehow coincide with the actual show. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I know it's
We've been
it's
very
really
lucky.
It's an happenstance in a weird
It's
way
a-
that we get a letter.
I love that word.
And it's about that.
Yes,
it's
the
kind of
best.
ties into
Well,
what we're
listen,
talking
we have
about.
a couple of assistants. Thank you guys.
Yes.
Who've been they're very good. We know loose lips sink ships, but they're very good at letting these things out, and then we get the right letters in.
Yeah.
We're good.
So I'm having problems reading. Can you tell me who?
Oh, that's Tony Rodriguez.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
What?
Oh, Tony
Man, We
Rodriguez.
haven't seen him since the 90s.
He sent a
I miss
message.
him.
I love
miss
Tony
him.
Rodriguez.
His letter says, "What are your favorite either records or music to listen to on a Sunday morning?"
Oh. Well,
That's like-
Because you were talking
it
about
really
this
was.
album.
Well, so like I said, in the summer of 1996, I was living in Atlanta during the Olympics.
Yep.
Miles Davis and Silent Way. But I will say, for me, for the past 7 or 8 years, I mean, well, on and off, but I revisit this record a lot at a lot of Sunday mornings, and it would be Spiritualized, ladies and gentlemen, we are floating in space.
Awesome.
Which I think parts of that record were influenced by
Which
this.
is,
Like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
I mean,
of course.
you know,
I mean, Jay Spaceman's totally
Unbelievable. Yeah, such-
influenced by
I met him.
Away.
I met him one night, and he could not have been nicer. He was such a super sweet gentleman, and we hung out and had beers at a Little Flat Points Pizza.
And a shout out to Sue Joyce, because that is our wedding song. was
What? I didn't know
Ladies
that.
and gentlemen,
Man.
Floating
We're
Space.
big fans.
Really?
We're big fans of Sue Joyce.
We
here.
are big fans of Sue Joyce.
Cheers.
Sue rocks.
Very patient
Oh
with
man,
me.
so good
On all
woman,
of
very
this.
patient. What would your Sunday morning jam be?
Tom, honestly, that's a weird question for me because I'm not a morning person, and usually on Sunday mornings,
Run
I'm like,
DMC Raising Hell.
There you go.
no, I'm usually listening to
Afternoon.
music Sunday mornings is not afternoon. Oh, depending on how hungover I am on a Sunday morning, it's kind
I like
of.
that. I like that honesty.
I'm trying to think like.
You have to
usually-
recognize that. For sure.
And I think usually on Sunday mornings I'm not I don't really want to get up, and I'm usually out Saturday. So I'm normally not listening to whole albums. I'm listening to like just playlists with specific songs. I know that one song that always when I'm not feeling good or maybe like tired and not wanting to be up is Trans Am OK Computer.
Beautiful.
I mean, because it just makes me happy. That's right? OK Computer.
Oh, you mean Computer World?
No, I think it's OK Computer.
That's crap.
Trans Am. Like
that's
it's
Yeah, you're right.
That's
Jeez.
Right.
Future World.
Yeah.
No, I think it's OK. Oh, maybe it's not OK Computer. OK Computer is like a.
That's the radio.
That's the radio.
Because we just talked about it as far as
Well, what's yours?
Kid
'Cause
A.
we need to.
All right.
I don't know. He's not gonna be able to look it up. I can't think of the name of the song.
Say goodbye to our sponsors.
But
What's
it's
your
like,
Sunday morning record?
Bum, bum. It always gets my butt wiggling and wakes me up. Whatever the name of the song is, we don't
What's your
know.
Sunday morning record?
Maybe
Okay.
we'll add it in like a text at the bottom.
Yeah, we'll do a little subtitles.
It's Cocaine Computer.
What's your Sunday morning?
All right.
James, Joyce.
Sunday
What's
morning.
your
Sunday morning
Sunday
record?
morning?
I really like
record?
listening to like 70s like reggae
Oh, I love
and
it.
60s ska in a weird way for Sunday morning. I think it's because
The energy.
remember Album 88 used to do their reggae show on
Wonderful,
Sunday
yeah.
mornings. I forgot the name of it. Maybe somebody would know. But it's it was always nice to turn that on. They did a big band show,
Yes.
big band jump, and then they did the reggae hour or whatever it was
And then
called.
ska hour.
And ska. It was like sort of roots
Good,
reggae.
like 60s ska.
And yeah, like some sissy ska,
Desmond Decker.
but it was also
Toots Hibbert, yeah.
like just very bassy, very low end, very mellow, also not abrasive
Yes.
on a Sunday morning, kind of like, especially if you're a little
So like you
hungover,
need that
it
cool
was
breeze
good.
on a Sunday, and that's
It
what gets
kinda
it to you.
gets
So
you
you're
going.
one of those people that likes like the more mellow stuff. If you're feeling where I'm like the one that like
You need
I
to get
kind
picked
of need
up.
the peppy.
Yeah,
You need
yeah.
to wake up,
I need to.
and we need to go.
Yeah.
We gotta
Man,
move.
Again, PBR,
Gotta boogie.
Louis, Jameson, Trackside Tavern, and you guys for watching. Much love.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, cheers, everybody.